ET, how are you now?
I'm excellent. How are you doing this fine day, Mitch?
I am on top of the world because we are going to talk about not only one of my favorite foods in the world, but genuine Texas cuisine, foods that define the Lone Star State. I know you might have a debate on that, so that means I got to get into costume.
Oh, I should have busted out my new Stetson I just got.
You just got a Stetson?
Yeah, Poshmark. Found one. Somebody sold one for $100. A felt uh, Beaver Marshall, Beaver felt
Uh,
4X Marshall, which is
don't
Raymond
know.
Justified guy. So that's that one, that model.
Oh, what's his name?
Timothy
Raylan
Oliphant.
Jennings or something
Yeah,
like
Raylan Gibbons. Yeah.
Raylan Gibbons. I have
Plus,
watched a few of those episodes.
somebody
Those
had
are
my
actually kind of good.
size for it was like $100 all in with the postage and stuff, shipping.
Yeah, but that's my issue, finding the right size because as we've talked before, as we've made mention before, my head is gargantuan. But today, I don't want to get too far off track. We are going to talk about the foods that define Texas, and nothing is more the definition of a food that defines a state if it has been named by legislature. As that's what got me to wonder is like, is there more? I mean, because they did. I can't honestly, I can't wait because in 3 years it's going to be the 50th anniversary of the declaration of Texas Red as the official food of Texas, and I cannot wait.
Yeah, I saw that in the notes. I was a little surprised that would be a thing. The legislature would be, well,
I know.
what problems do you
I,
want to solve today?
I was too. I was too. And at the end, we're going to read the declaration too, by the way. But then I started thinking, where was I in 1977? So I was a sophomore in high school, and I can remember like that time of that period of time because right after we just celebrated the bicentennial of the United States, I could see it. I could see like legislature doing something like this.
Yeah, the big debate. I don't care what the Texas legislature, people from Texas say, or what Yellowstone. It was a great episode arguing whether chili has, meat in it or beans in it or
Yeah,
not.
yeah, I agree.
Um, I don't care if you call it chili stew or whatever. I like mine with beans, frijoles in it.
Oh, boy, there's some respect. Well, I mean, the fact that it was, the defined it's this whole statement I gave you about the legislature and what we're going to talk about the ladies from San Antonio comes from. Are you ready? The big the
Oh,
big Texas cookbook. Ain't that a
nice.
peach?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and there's some damn good recipes in there. Like you talked about, like well, I mean, we were talking beforehand about Texas sheet cake. That's in there too. There's some damn good recipes. So I'm hoping because we touched on barbecue. Do you believe it was way back in episode 38 we talked about Texas barbecue?
wow. So over whatever, like 18 months ago.
Yeah, like 70 episodes ago.
Yeah,
But so I thought it was time, and hopefully we can do another one. There's plenty of food that's claimed to be, but this is they like you said they talk about uh the bowl of red, and we'll talk about why it's red later, but also free of any sort of beans. And I got to tell you, I mean, I if you want to make it with beans, that's fine. I made it with beans when I started growing up. I actually have a poor man's patent. You mail it to yourself and the government. But for my, I know, for my chili back in the day, which was back in God 40 years ago. But my friends would all come over for Sunday football. You were probably there one of those times, and I would make chili. But mine had beans in it back then, and sometimes I still will. But like learning from chili cook-offs. That's where I first became aware that like they're like, oh, real chili don't have beans at the state fair cook-offs in Illinois.
yeah. It's what probably whatever you're raised with or whatever. So I don't know what you call that stuff that has all the other ingredients of chili and pinto beans or something in it. But
Yeah.
I like that. I like
Well,
the
I mean, because
flatulence. The flatulence is a bonus.
I had a friend of mine who had a fiance with gigantic Hogan's. I used to refer to mine as chili soup back then. And again, she had great big Hogan's, so I let her get away with it. But I uh, I learned, like I say, at the state fair in Illinois, and another prop, by the way, buddy. That's my first place plaque from the state fair.
Oh, Wow.
Yeah. Uh,
And that was
it,
for your chili?
well, it was for our booth. We had the best decorated booth.
Did it include Hogan's?
Oddly, it did. That's what, not the aforementioned, but yet another set. So that was a trend back in the day, and not a bad one, I must say. But when they say no beans, I mean, I like when they talk about, this is when you get into, because this is what really got me into this episode. Like they start talking about the culture wrapped around the history of Chile in Texas, and they're talking about back in 1860. So bear in mind again for reference, that was just about right around before the Civil War, that kind of time frame, and up until the
So
late
you guys weren't,
1930s.
it wasn't even a state yet, I don't think, right? Well, when was the Texas
We
Republic?
1836, but that's cool. Uh,
Yes.
well, you're right. We might not have been no, we were our own republic for only 10 years. The Civil War kind of they came legislation became from that says we can never go secede again. So just so everybody knows, but that's when because like you get the image of like they're talking about because you've been to San Antonio. I think we talked about before.
Yeah. Yeah. When I was a kid, I there
Yeah,
saw the Sam Houston stuff and a Riverwalk. I don't Alamo.
yeah, that stuff, the Alamo. But so imagine like 164 years ago. So it wasn't really I mean, anywhere near as modern as it was when you even saw it when you were a kid, but it was like just like wide open, the plaza. I don't even think the Riverwalk had been invented yet. I'm not sure when, but then they would have literally these women. They call them the chili queens of San Antonio. They would start mesquite fires, so you got that smell going in the air, and they start up early, so they had the oil from their lamps because there wasn't no electricity downtown probably yet. But and then you add like wandering musicians and singers, so it turned into kind of a festival around that. So like that would be totally legit, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Whatever. I wouldn't know if I was 12 or 14 or whatever when I was there with my parents, but the Riverwalk was fairly new. And I remember that's our first time really eating Mexican food or Tex-Mex or whatever it is. Let's be honest. Mexican food and Texican food are different. Or Texas
Yes,
food is
they are.
usually much more flavorful. Um,
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I'm really happy like you, Joe, because I can't swing a dead cat, which is probably an Illinois thing, uh, without hitting some good Mexican food like breakfast tacos or
Yeah, but if you
anything.
go down into Mexico, typically it's maybe more tomatillo or less spicy a lot of times, and desserts have way less sugar, so not stuff that we're used to.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I got to get back down there because my son and I went surfing down there in Sayulita, and that's where I brought back the legendary foodborne illness, the holy cats. But also, I mean, back in the day in San Antonio, O. Henry, the author, you've heard of him.
Yeah,
He wrote like The Gift of the Magi, that kind of thing. He was down there, and he would call it uh, the nightly encampments upon the historic Alamo Plaza in the heart of the city had been a carnival, a Saturnalia that was renowned throughout the world. I don't know what a Saturnalia is, but
yeah, me neither.
oh, Henry, by the way, also in one of our previous episodes was the one who coined the world's first serial killer as in Austin, Texas, as he must have loved Texas, but the servant girl annihilator. And I could annihilate some breakfast this morning because I haven't had it yet. But back to the but back to the bean thing. It's not like I admit, like I said, it was in my own patented recipe, which is somewhere around the house. I still got it, but it's not to say using beans is illegal. It's not. It's just strongly frowned upon. So if you're a contestant in a cook-off, they're like
Yeah,
it can lead to disqualification. Actually,
every culture needs some sort of similar kind of a protein slash filler. So
yeah, yeah,
you know
exactly.
pastas or beans or something that you can fill everybody's little bellies up with or whatever when they don't have meat all the time because let's face it, part of refrigeration and
Yeah, especially
chillers
back
and
then.
stuff like that. Yeah, whatever. You're not always gonna. You might have rabbit in your chili or whatever. I mean, it's a
Well,
lot of
as a way of preserving thing back then, they would dry it.
yeah,
I'm sure you're sure. So that I can see where they would pack it in their bags with some beef fat and then reconstitute it, campfire side or trail side. But that also led me to thinking, I bet they had dry beans back then too, right?
Yeah, it was a staple. Even not not that they're all authentic, but you watch an old western, they're loading the wagon train up. They go into someplace with a general store and they get a barrel of sacks of flour, sacks of beans, barrel whatever, coffee and sugar and stuff like that. Your 50-pound staples to last rice. So rice and beans is culturally significant. A lot of those places.
Well, I think the thing with Texas is they're passionate because they consider beans a distraction. It takes apart. It's part of the mythology. And first of all, the mythology of like how chili was invented. There's stories that say, and you and I talked about this before. First of all, a Spanish nun, Sister Mary of Agreda, appeared to Native Americans in the early 1600s, and oddly enough, had a recipe for chili. She came back from visiting with Native Americans with a recipe for chili. So maybe.
Yeah, and so I don't know what they called them before, but you know, chili names derived from chili peppers or vice versa. The peppers went in that stew, so whatever, adobo peppers and uh, all kinds of different peppers. So, that's pretty much your key ingredient. Cumin, your beef, your
Fan of the cumin, I am.
yeah, it's weird.
But
Cumin. I don't know. Same way with coupon.
well,
There's a
I'm going
few
to
of
give you a
those.
heads up. Then there's when you come down to visit me sometime, if you ever do, there's a town just south of us called Buda, spelled Buda. It's not Buddha, it's Buda.
Say, I think that's how they pronounce the one in the Illinois Valley. There's a little town over by Princeton.
Is it Buda? Yeah, I think I do remember that now. That's interesting. I wonder who the hell this Buda person was. But also, they say potentially immigrants from the Canary Islands brought a recipe over when they settled San Antonio in the early 1700s, which you and I both know the Canary Islands is just off the coast of Spain, so it's possible.
Yeah, we like to give our listeners a little heads up, a little geography lesson or
Yeah,
stuff. Yeah,
how about
so
that? And
yeah,
a little history
Spain.
too.
Yeah, over there next to Spain in the water. These islands actually lie in the water off the coast.
I guess thanks thanks for defining island. I think you're going too far with this information shit.
So I don't
But
know what they brought over was part of the cuisine that they eat in Texas, but or how many of them even came, whatever. But
they say the popularity, and I love anytime we give a shout out to my hometown, Chicago, Illinois, but the popularity increased after it was introduced at the 1893 World's Fair in Chicago.
okay, yeah, I'll bite. Yeah, did not know that.
Here's a couple more facts about the World's Fair. See if you can guess. Well, this is a rough one, I admit, but another food that was introduced at the 1893 World's Fair, or a food
What
item.
were like corn dogs or something? Yeah, I don't remember all the. I don't have my program from when I attended the 1893 Columbia Exposition in Chicago, so I don't remember what all was on the Connie's.
Alexa, cancel timer.
So like I said, I don't have my program from the 1893 exposition, but
Well, I
we
expect
had
we'll just be
Connie's
around. I
pizza,
mean,
Connie's pizza. I imagine.
oh bullshit. No, Tom's pizza. You're right.
Oh, hey,
To give you a little bit
sidetrack
more
back to
basic.
serial killers. That's where H. Holmes was the famous devil in the White City. Was
Yeah, see,
yeah,
there's another one.
yeah,
Yeah.
but
I don't know if it was 1893. I think it might have been 1904, but still, well,
I
no, it had to be
digress.
1893 because we did the math on that episode. And if you guys are interested, and go back and find the episode, I couldn't find it when I was looking around because we've got a million of them out there now. So you guys should all like maybe binge a few downloads. But Juicy Fruit Gum was in 1893. Uh, let me think, what else was there? Oh, Aunt Jemima, which is now I think just I don't know what they've renamed it,
Yeah,
but
I
it
don't
ain't
know
Aunt
what they
Jemima no
call
more.
that now. Box of
But
pancake mix. Yeah.
but this will make you happy because it made me laugh because I guess some Italian dudes introduced pasta for the first time. I guess dried pasta, like the Cecco, I think the name was. But I swear to God, they're like Americans may have called it macaroni. No reason why. We just like fucking call it call that shit macaroni.
Yeah, we stuck a feather in our cap and called it
Yeah,
macaroni. Yeah, so
we
there.
have we have no shame whatsoever.
Um, yes, so I don't know, put the Texas back in that. So what other stuff, what other kind of foods would we be talking about if we were really just talking Texas cuisine? I know they grow a shit ton of pecans in Texas, so there's got to be stuff with pecans in it.
Yeah, and there's some other states like I was surprised to find that a lot of states don't have a state dish because after I looked into, I'm looking up another one, because there's state dessert, of course, pecan pie. No, that might be battling Texas sheet cake as well. Um, but Illinois has a state food from where you're sitting right now. Can you guess what it
Really?
is? Yeah,
No, I cannot. Nope.
I was surprised also. I thought I knew, but it's a more of a snack food. Popcorn.
Oh
The
yeah.
land of Lincoln is known for popcorn.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know anybody that grows that, but
I did when I lived there. I grew popcorn,
oh, okay. Yeah, sweet.
but that was those little decorative ones. And it was amazing because I showed my kids you could just take it off the ear, let it dry for however long you need. Because you
Yeah,
got
it
to put
was
it in a jar.
blues and reds, and yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But you could take an ear of dry corn from your garden and put it right into the microwave and it would pop on the damn. It was so cool. But I also showed, I mean, we talked about, we called it Texas Red. But I told you I would refer to that because there's also, it takes so long to cook. Like I mentioned, that competition chili at the state fair, that takes a minimum 3 hours. Like, because it gets kind of bland looking because, occasionally you'll do what they call, you start with the ground beef, of course, or ground, whatever you're using, cubes of chuck roast, whatever, but you brown it, drain that off and put in your first, seasonings. And so hour after hour, you do what's known as a dump. You take a dump uh, into your chili. It's literally called a dump. But I learned, like I said, I learned that at the state fair, and that's why I'll do it too. Like an hour into it, you dump some spices in, like herbs that take longer to cook. Then later you take the cumin and the chili powder, everything we're talking about. So now it starts to look kind of bland red. But at the end, right before judging, this is where it gets the red part. They dump things historically. They'll dump something called Sazon Goya. It's a packet. I'm sure it's a Mexican company, but it's a little packet. It's called coriander and annatto seasoning, but you dump that in right at the end and it gets a bright red. And that supposedly means a lot to judges.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know a lot of Mexican places you go when you get your taco plate or your whatever, it's got the red sauce and the green sauce. I thought maybe it was related to that. One's tomatillo and the other one's I don't know what. Maybe that.
Yeah, it's all. I mean, every cook-off I've been to, you see the occasional respectable person, the occasional different person making green chili, and like judges don't want to see green chili anywhere in America. I don't think want to
You
see
think
green
of white
chili.
chili, for those you're maybe more health
Yeah,
conscious, whatever the white, that's usually made with some sort of white beans, navy beans,
yeah.
whatever, and
Well,
chicken or
yeah, that's
turkey.
yeah, and if you've made it before, and probably you have, it's pretty damn good.
Yeah, it's pretty good stuff and maybe slightly healthier. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like what because if you got to use the dumps for those different phases. Like some things are so potent they take longer to mellow out. That's why you
Oh,
just
okay.
and you learn your recipe. I've got a recipe I use now, and we'll also from on this episode, if you guys pull it up, we'll have from the Big Texas Cookbook, the official. And I looked at this recipe in here. It's for Texas Red, and I put over the years, over the decades now, I could say I've learned. I think I know what the ingredients are for good chili, but we talked about even like one of the authors or of editors of this book, one of the writers in it who passed away recently, and this is from 2022, so he's probably passed away like in 2021 or somewhere. But he would call it. He didn't like chili. He actually said he just called it grease. He wanted. I mean, I can see why. Like when you looked up Texas foods, I'm sure barbecue came up. I
Yeah.
honestly was surprised that barbecue wasn't named the official food. That might be but he thought that he thought chili was just beef and the fat that comes off the meat with a bunch of spices dumped in. That was his point of view.
Well, yeah, some people don't like the idea of eating gravy. I mean, because it's what the beef
Ooh,
drippings or,
ooh,
chicken drippings or whatever with flour and, some, so yeah, really gravy's probably not that healthy, but what do you want to live forever?
Yeah, what the hell?
I mean,
But
I don't care if you're
I
in England having a Sunday roast in London or whatever, or in
oh
here,
yeah, I mean my
in the South having your biscuits and gravy, or your oh,
oh,
chicken
stop
fried
it, man, stop it! I told you I
chicken
haven't had
fried
breakfast
steak
yet.
is way yeah, chicken fried
Ah,
steak is way up there on the Texas list too, supposedly. Uh,
it is,
invented.
and ideally we can do other because we talked about the foods that define Texas, so we'll do another one because you and I have already talked about quite a few, and we just touched base on them. So I think it's worth another episode. But I can see where Texas got associated with chili based on the fact that it was a cowboy staple. I get that.
Yeah, that. Well, they also have so they have separate dish, cowboy beans, or
Texas caviar. I'm
yeah.
telling you, there's a million. I mean, there's quite a few of them. And I had had a few, like when I lived in Illinois or when I lived in Washington or I lived in Virginia. Texas caviar, big fan, big fan. If you haven't made it yet, you should try it.
I have
But
not. I've only tried real caviar once, and not
I have not. I have not. I would do it. I mean, just like trying oysters. It's like
right. So I could see if you didn't have other food to eat, where that would be finally you would
I
be,
can see that.
eat caviar, but whatever.
Snails, I've tried snails. Don't have to do that again. But we talked about the legislature passing it, and I think it's only fitting as we bring this to an end that I will read for you because we are nothing, if nothing, we're authentic. Uh, the House concurrent resolution, and this is just a summary at the end, because there was a bit more because I'm sure they didn't take it too seriously either. Okay. Whereas the beauty of Texas trees and flowers is represented by the pecan and bluebonnet, and the mockingbird is emblematic of our abundant and varied wildlife, but the internationally esteemed cuisine of the great state has received no official recognition and has no official symbol. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the House of Representatives of the state of Texas, the state Senate concurring that the 65th legislature, in recognition of the fact that the only real bowl of red is that prepared by Texans, hereby proclaims chili as the state dish of Texas. Motherfucker. I'm sorry. It just felt like it belonged there.
Yeah. Okay. Cool for Texas. Like I said, I don't know. My state food's popcorn. I did have a bowl of that last night. So I mean, granted, it was microwave popcorn, but whatever.
No,
Yeah,
I like.
I
I
would
mean,
have thought
I like.
our regional food that I, the pork tenderloin sandwich that's the size of a hubcap or something. But
Yeah,
Iowa also
there's
tries to lay
more.
claim
Well,
to
there
that.
are
So,
sad states like Wyoming, Nevada. They have nothing. They have no state anything food wise. They got no state snack, no state food. Well, Washington is just known for the Walla Walla onion. So I mean,
really, I thought Washington apples. I would have thought it would have
you
been
think
an apple.
Rainier cherries.
Yeah, Georgia, the Vidalia onion. I would think,
Okay,
but no.
I'll give you another one because I have proprietary knowledge. West Virginia state food. You'll never get it. Don't say oil or coal rather.
Yeah,
The
I don't know what they're
pepperoni roll. The pepperoni
really.
roll. And I knew the story behind it, and maybe I'll dig it up someday. Probably not, but the pepperoni roll. But honestly, because as we talk about all these, no offense to Illinois, God bless our listeners from Illinois, Michigan, West Virginia, consistent, Washington. I love you guys. Cali, I don't even want to know what their state food is, but I do appreciate a lot of the food from Cali. I think if we're talking about chili, brisket, sheet cake, pecan pie, I think we got a leg up.
Yeah, what's the breakfast food? Something with similar to what, with a Mexican sort of theme to it, maybe.
Maybe we'll do that because there are quite a few interesting breakfast dishes. Like I just read one the other day. I can't remember the name of it, but it's like they prep everything up and then they'll fry eggs on top of it and let the eggs simmer. Crack eggs on top, let it simmer. It's called pozole, I think. I could be wrong, but that might be our next one. We'll do breakfast foods because God bless it. I love me a good breakfast. Probably because I haven't had one today.
I haven't had a good one. I just had a breakfast, the Quaker protein oatmeal or something, because I'm gonna attempt to go to the
Yeah.
gym here in a few minutes. So
I like how a lot of these advertisers will call their foods now yada yada protein. It's always been because there's nuts in it, but it's always, But now it's all about the marketing. But hey, DT, always a pleasure. I mean, this was a fun episode. Ours usually are. I mean, I'll give you credit. You good sense of humor for dealing with me. I appreciate it. Oh, and we've got wait, I've got an update for the audience. If you listen this long, by the way, this will come out this week. We're moving our sponsor, our host. We're leaving one and we're joining. Are you ready? Spotify.
Okay, so no no more hosted on Buzzsprout, or is it like also going to be?
That's right. It'll still be uploaded at mitchwonders.com. That won't change, but now we're supported by Spotify. And I will tell you and the audience, I got a lot of hope for it, but I think it's going to be interesting, and it's going to be on all the other uh, sites like just like before. But I think Spotify brings a little energy to it, and will get us out there more. So it's time to grow, and here we go.
Excellent. I'll remember to shave next time. Um,
Yeah, me too. I thought that'll happen. All right. Well, we'll see you next time, DT. Thanks for joining in, and it was fun going through some of the history of this
good
with you.
talking with you. Thanks for listening, folks.